Can I tell them a project?
No.
I can't tell them. I can even put a picture up.
No. Guys, welcome back to another video of Akeem and Missie.
So today's video is going to be a little bit different. I know a lot of you have requested like a little get to know us, a little chit chat type vibe. So that's what we're going to bring in this video. We're going to answer a lot of questions. I know we posted a video before asking, what questions did you want to know of us. So we're going to answer all those questions, everything from personal stuff as far as how we met, what made us move to Houston, all those questions. Then people had questions as far as like, who did you build with, how much did your home cost. We're going to get into all those questions. So watch to the end of the video. We're going to answer most of your questions, the most pressing ones, and it's going to be a good time. So pause the video right now. Go grab yourself a drink, some wine, whatever your vice is. Come back, and then let's get into this video. But before you do that, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel a lot when you hit that like button. So please go ahead and hit that like button. And without further ado, let's get into these questions. All right, so the first question actually comes from Tori Rogers, and she's actually the one that sparked this whole idea of doing a Q&A on one of our videos. I forget which one exactly, but she was like, hey, can we get a chit chat with you, get to know you, the fam, the whole nine. So it was like, hey, that sounds like a good idea. So yeah, that's what brings us here. So Tori had a few questions actually. So we'll try to answer them as much as possible. So, Tori, your first question was, why did you guys move? How long have you been married? Where did you meet? And your biggest challenges and biggest blessings. So, we'll start with like, how did we meet? So, how do we meet can really be a video within itself, right? So, we met via Facebook. We met it actually in 2008. So, at that time, this was Facebook at that time, if you can recall, it was a big. I mean, what it is now is a big networking tool. It wasn't, anything that's super niche or and specific, but it was a big networking tool, and we kind of interacted in a lot of the same circles to a degree. So we were friends, even though we didn't know each other in real life. And I had reached out to her to work on Can I tell them a project?
No.
I can't tell them. I can even put a picture up.
No.
I'll put a
No.
no.
Just
I
tell them.
can't.
You can tell them the project. We don't need any pictures.
So my wife was a model.
Duh.
What? You're gorgeous.
All you gotta say is just the project. We were working on. You wanted me to shoot for a calendar. That's it. I was never
But
a
if I
model.
say shoot for a calendar, they gonna know.
I don't need people searching all of that.
Well, you can't find it. I've looked. I've tried to find the little cotton candy.
Anyway.
You don't want to do that? I respect
Let's
it.
let's just say to work on a project.
So I reached out to my wife to work on a project that I was working on, and I wanted her to be a part of it. But at the time, through various reasons, it just timing wasn't right. But we were friends nonetheless. And fast forward about 6 months later, she had posted just a general status like she was bored and she wanted someone to talk to. So I did the DM slide, and I was slid in her DMs, and I responded to her question. Said, I think you
He
still have the
said,
clip, so I'll put it up here. My
So-
exact DM.
two things. One, Facebook wasn't like going into someone's DMs it wasn't creepy at the time like it is now. Someone, messaged you, it was literally on like some friend tip. It wasn't like I want to holler at you, I want to take you out. It was literally like that's how we met friends. It was networking, but not in the business sense of what Facebook is now. It was literally just like how to meet friends in college and different things like that. So him sliding in my inbox wasn't like, it didn't come off creepy-ish.
It was what Facebook was originally intended for.
Yeah.
That extension of college networking, that college life, the extension of whatever your gathering place was on your local university, wherever that physical place was, and Facebook was like the online version of that. We met in that space, but Facebook has evolved since then. But I responded, said I would love to keep her entertained because she said she was bored. But I said I don't have your number, and asked if she wanted to exchange numbers. This was like early December 2008.
Yeah.
And then we exchanged numbers.
We exchanged numbers,
We did.
and Akeem was one of those guys who would like
Be careful.
he was he didn't really text back. Like he like we talked, but like you could tell he had other things going on.
I'm a busy guy. That's all.
You could tell he had
Else.
other things and probably other girls talking to him. So it was like we would talk, and like that day we talked. I don't even remember talking that day.
So can I tell
Did we talk that day?
What the day we actually came on?
The day that you actually gave me your phone number.
No, I don't think we talked that actual day.
So you asked for my phone number, then you never text me that day?
I mean, if anything, it was more so like a hey. It was nothing.
I literally said, I'm bored at work. Can someone please text me?
Well, I don't remember.
You said I wanted to entertain you.
Do you remember us talking? Because I don't.
I feel like we did, but I don't remember.
I don't think it was anything that would be, mentally drawing with you. Remember.
So why you asked for my phone number?
We talked for sure, but I just don't remember the conversation. But the gist of everything is that was early December, and we went back and forth messaging, texting and everything, and then we had met in person. We had never laid eyes on each other in person, and then at the end of December, a few days before Christmas, I'm from Detroit. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and
I'm from like an hour north of Detroit. So
right, so
more so east.
She was actually in town, so to speak, just outside of Detroit at her cousin's house. So she was like, "Hey, we want to come over here, link up, kind of, talk to each other in person, see each other face to face, so on and so forth." So I went over there, and I thought she was a lot taller before I met her. So like she's 4'11", but I thought she was 5'4", 5'5". So I don't know, just based on pictures, right?
It's not even that much taller though.
I mean. No, but yes. So, but nonetheless, so this is the cool part of our story. We started off. It was her, myself, and her cousin. We were just kicking it, and we caught a vibe that I've never
so good. Like
ever had before.
We clicked fast. Like I felt so comfortable around him. I don't know. It was. I don't even know how to explain it.
I've never been a pressure guy. I've always heard that, and I don't want to bring up other situations, talking about you, but I've always heard like I feel comfortable around you because I was never a pressure or anything like that. But so as the early evening or the late evening turned into the early morning, we're just talking and I was like, I don't remember my exact words, but I remember I asked her to be my girlfriend.
You said, I want you to be my girl. And I was like,
and when I said it, and like real talk, like when I said it, it's like I meant it, but I didn't mean it. But then, like the second time.
But the first time I was like, no.
That was the first time, but the second time I really meant it.
Right, but the first time I was like, no. I'm not really looking for a boyfriend. I just want to have fun, and I don't know you, so I'm not trying to be in a relationship. And so we kind of talked a little bit more, and we talked about like what we wanted in relationships, and what we had got out of, and like our expectations and different things like that. And then you asked again.
Yeah, and the second time, that's when it was like, I'm kind of not playing no more. Like, I think I'm really feeling you like this way. And I'm really a relationship type guy. Like, I'm a Leo by nature. I am a relationship type person. I just got out of a long-term relationship, 9-10 months prior. And at this point, I was single for for me a long time, and I was getting to the point where I was kind of thinking about getting back into a relationship right when we met, and it was like perfect timing. So I can literally say we have been together since the first day that we've met. Since the day that I laid eyes on her, we've been together since day one. The funny part, and not to dismiss their feelings at the time, I almost feel like Andre 3000. Like I typed a text to a girl I used to see, but there was girls that I met like the day before I met you in person, and they were like, "What's your?" I'm like, "No, I ain't got no girl. I ain't talking to nobody. Nothing. Like it was just nothing." And then that next day I met you, and then all that stuff went to hell, and I had to send them that message like, I know I told you I didn't, but so they were mad at me because they feel like there's no way you got with a girl
You want to
that
slide that
fast.
in so bad.
No, but it was real talk. It was like,
All you have to say is we got together and we've been together. Oh yeah, I had
but
girls who
no,
wanted me. I had a
it's not about
whole.
them wanting me, but it's like I literally just had a conversation with them less than 24 hours prior. Like, no, I'm not talking to anybody real, serious, anything like that. And then the day after we talked, they hit me up. I'm like, I got a girl. And like, how the hell does that happen? But like I said, this topic we could do a whole video on. But I want to get into Tori's other questions. But that's essentially how we met.
I will say those who know our story, especially when I tell it, because I tell it with a little more,
She tells from
emphasis.
her point of view.
I tell it with a more
I tell
emphasis,
it
like
from
go
mine.
into detail, different things like that. It don't be dry like when Akeem tell it. But those who know our story
My stuff
know.
dry. Wow.
Those who know our story, who know us personally, knows that it's one of my favorite stories to tell. That and then the whole
We're
wedding
gonna do a whole
story.
video on our story, but we gotta get into the rest of these questions because
Uh,
we'll be 30 minutes.
don't cut me off. That in our wedding story. Now you can go.
Okay, so
Golly.
how long you been married? We've been married how quick fast? How
Nope,
fast?
you.
No,
Because I already know.
11 years. It'd be 11 years in December. 12 years
And
next year, and we've been
why you
together
say
for
12 years next year?
yeah, it'd be 12 next year.
You have to say, you just said 11 years in December.
That's the only way I can remember. Like
Okay, 11 years in December.
we've been together for 12 years. 13. How long we? 2008. I know the eight.
We got together December 2008, so we'll be together going on 13 years. We'll be married going on 11 years
Yeah,
in December.
that's right. So
Fail.
don't blame me. We talked about where did we meet.
Why that get so deep?
I don't know. Why did you guys move? So you mind if I take this one?
Go ahead.
So we kind of decided that we wanted to move to Houston. Or move to Texas. So this is how our process started. We knew being from Michigan, we wanted to go south. We wanted to go to a warmer climate. We wanted better weather. Um,
No snow.
No snow, all that good stuff. So we just kind of went through the list. I personally like the Carolinas. We looked at Georgia, but in Georgia, you really have the Atlanta suburbs, and a lot of people from Detroit and in the Midwest area just migrating to Atlanta anyway. So kind of ruled out Georgia. I was deployed there. I'm in the army. I was in the army, so I was deployed to Georgia. And can
What
we
is
help
that?
you?
I just wanted to tell you that, Mom, you look beautiful than a princess. Dad, you look more handsome than the most handsomest guy ever.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. But can you go keep an eye on there and close the door so we can finish recording? Okay, thank you.
Larry get mad because I always be like, oh, thank you. And then she'll say something, I'm like, thank you. And she'll be like, but you don't do the thing. I'm like, what thing? The thing that you do to us and the aw.
All right, so the next question from Tori is like, why do we move? And a lot of people have asked this question, so just highlighting the fact, this was one of Tori's first questions, but why do we move to Houston? So we knew we wanted to go south. We wanted to get into warmer weather, so we just looked at the southern region. And just roughly it was the Carolinas, which I really like, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, those were kind of out of the question. Texas or Arizona. So Florida, no offense to my folks in Florida, we love y'all, but you see the headlines coming out of Florida. It's y'all a little different in Florida, so we didn't really want to go to Florida. Georgia kind of ruled out. I was deployed. I was in Army, so I was deployed in Georgia. I was in Savannah, not too far outside of Atlanta, a couple hours. But we didn't want to do Georgia, so we really looked at. For me, my top was Arizona, Texas, or North or South Carolina. And right after we narrowed it down to that, I truly, truly feel like God showed us the path because literally, after we narrowed it down and we really became serious about this, that's when every headline that we looked at was Houston is the number one place for black entrepreneurs. Houston, the number one place for job growth.
Millennials.
Millennials. We're older
Families.
millennials, so we're at the top of the millennial and the bottom of what is the what's the generation above us? Whatever that generation is, we're like right on the cusp. So we're like older millennials. So it was from
Gen
Business
Z.
Insider, Yahoo Finance, and any kind of publication. They really started to come out with a lot of pro Houston headlines. So that grabbed us attention. So we really focused in on Texas, and it came down to Houston, Dallas, Austin, the major areas, and we just fell in love with Houston. So we came out here, visited. We met up one of my friends, realtor. Shout out to Sabrina if you're watching this. And she showed us around. I fell in love. It was my first time in Houston, first time in Texas.
It
It
was
was
my
your
second
second
time.
time, and we just fell in love. So I mean, we love it here. The economy is perfect. It's beautiful here as far as weather. Warm weather 90% of the time. So, the major reason was migrate from that cold weather in the Midwest, and we love it here. So, and just to kind of wrap up from your question, Tori, biggest challenges and biggest blessings. Not quite sure if you meant from as far as moving or in life in general. So I would just say if you're referring to the move, because that's kind of how it was written. The biggest challenges is we came out here no family. It was just me and my wife and all our kids. We had a few friends out here, but no other support system. So it's just that fear of the unknown. That was the biggest challenge, but we circumvented that pretty well, in my opinion. Um, we're loners. Like we have friends, but at the end of the day, all I need is my wife, and she'll say the same thing. You gotta say it though, so they know it's true. All you need is me, right?
Yeah, that caught me off guard.
So all so it was just like that's all we needed, and I felt like you know God really placed it. God really intended on us to be here. He needed us to move when He said move, and just fast forward now. My parents they relocated to Houston. My niece, my great niece, they've all relocated here as well. And we didn't move with intent on them following us necessarily, but it was one of those things where we moved, they came and visited, they fell in love, and they followed along as well. Biggest blessings, I think, for me, is just being here overall.
I would honestly say, like that part, we've thrived since we've gotten here, and I know a great deal of that is because we follow um, and trusted God in this move, and coming out here, like it's not like it happened immediately, but obviously, with through prayer and manifestation and working together, like it's really been an amazing journey being out here, even the 4 years we've been out here.
We are a true example of when they say faith without works is dead. Like, not only did we have the faith, but we literally put in the work. And I don't want to I want to get in more detail, but this is just not the video for it. But when I tell you, when God tells you to do something, you. All right. So the next question is from Life with Chan. Um, I actually asked a couple questions that we've already answered, but just to touch on it, where are we from? We're both from Michigan. We talked about how we met. One of the questions that Life with Chan asked was, were you younger or older? I'm not quite sure what that means, but we met when I was 25 and you were 22.
22. So I'm 35 now.
You were going, like, she was turning 23 like a month later.
Yeah, so I'm 35 now, and Akeem will be 38.
So this is a question that a lot of people have asked, is what do you do for a living? Right, so we believe in multiple streams of income. So I primarily focus on my main source. So I work in real estate. I'm in the real estate field. I'm not a realtor. I work in new construction home sales. Um, so yeah, that's my primary source of income, aside from everything else that I have on the side. And then you, as you take a, I heard while she swallows that wine.
So aside,
Oh, you got it?
yes, I have a
Okay.
clothing boutique, a women's online clothing boutique, and then I also work in banking and finance, or finance banking.
The other question was, what do you guys have any special hobbies or that you like to do? I wouldn't necessarily say hobbies. So, um,
Interest,
well, well,
vices.
so I was one of my businesses again was photography and videography, and I did that for years prior to moving out to Houston. I primarily focused in wedding photography, but I decided to shift gears and more so do it as personal interest, passion, more lifestyle things. Um, because I really didn't want to shoot weddings in this Houston heat. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. Um,
In the
and
Michigan heat either.
yeah, so but it's like it's 80 to 90 degrees in December, so and it's here in Houston. So I do enjoy photography, but I enjoy it from the creative aspect now. I don't really enjoy it. This sounds weird, but I don't enjoy paid assignments as much unless the client really wants to be creative. A lot of times, clients they just want you to recreate what they saw someone else do or shoot, and that's boring to a creative. It drives you insane when people present you Pinterest boards, and not as inspiration, but I want to replicate that. So I still do photography and videography, um, but those are like my hobbies. So like I enjoy it from that standpoint when I get to just be creative and create art. Um, as I mentioned before, I like my whiskey. I like my cigars. Those are probably mine. I would say my top three hobbies or interests: photography, videography, and then I'm a finance junkie also. So stocks, investment, things of that nature. So that's kind of where I land with it. What about you?
Um, I like to dabble in anything, so I'm into crafting. Um, I'm into DIYs, decor, fashion, makeup. I'm into a little bit of everything.
So fun fact: this is our first YouTube channel together, but my wife she had a YouTube channel previously, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here. But she had a beauty makeup channel prior to this one, back in like
14.
2014.
Yeah, short lived.
Yep. So
It was about a year.
they did pretty good. So but yeah, so this is our first run at YouTube together, but we have experience in this space. Um, Any advice for saving for upgrades for new construction? Save more than you think you need. I will give you this tip. So, if you have a long runway in front of you as far as time that you need to save, a good app that you can use for this is called Digit. Just to kind of give you a quick synopsis, it attaches itself to your banking account and it will pull money from your account and save it for you. You can create different scenarios or limits how much you want to take per day. So let's say you had $400 or $500 in your account, it would take $10 or so and just keep it. Then the next day it may take $7 and it may take nothing else for the next couple of days. But if you stick with it, you don't even notice that it's being taken. But if you ever need the money back, or if they ever calls, at least the last time I used it, if it calls the overdraft fee, it will then give you your money back and then refund you, so on and so forth. So it's a really cool app. It's called Digit, and that's a great tool for saving if you are not really good at putting money aside. Um,
Akeem also did a whole video. If you haven't already seen it,
Thank you, baby. That's a nice little alley oop.
just detailing
That's a nice
um, the the buying and saving process.
I'll link it right here, but it's a complete guide from the financial aspect of it and everything else on buying new construction home, and then we did a whole video on what we spent at the design center. So
Yeah.
both of those videos combined should give you great insight to your question. So thank you, Lightfoot Chan, for your question. Um, Next question is from Shay's Kitchen Cookup. What made you want to start your own clothing line? That's kind of heavy, solid. That's all you.
So at the time that I started Kennedy Jade, it was a time where I just felt like boutiques were no longer boutiques where you can go find rare or unique items. It became, especially in the era of when Instagram first started, so it became like everyone was carrying all the same things, and it
A
was
lot of
hard to
fast
find.
fashion.
It was hard to find things that you didn't see at the next 10 boutiques. And then on top of that, it was also a time when I had just had two of my kids. So that pre-mom body that I had before, I no longer had. So I didn't feel comfortable wearing things that showed my breast, boobs, and my butt. And I was more so into things that kind of like it gave these sexy, sophisticated but covered looks. And at the time, it was like sheer everything. and form-fitting everything. And not that I have a problem with it, but it's just like, coming out of carrying children, not everyone has a snapback, so you really just wanted something that made you feel sexy but still covered. And so that's initially what made me, jump into it. And I took a lot of time of going to trade shows and different things like that. And I finally found what I felt like was my niche in the industry, in the fashion industry, for boutiques. And at the time, or still is really, I wanted to carry statement pieces. I wanted to carry classic pieces that withstand the times of trends, things that you can wear over and over again. You can pair with different items. So that's the route that I went. I definitely wanted it to be something that when you look up 2-3 years from now and you see this blazer or you see this dress, and you go to reach for it, it's still it's still in trend and it's still in fashion. So that was the reason why I started it, and that's pretty much where I'm at with it now.
Yeah, it's timeless. And I will say this, as somebody that watches my baby day in and day out work in and on her business, um, I think it's a tougher side of it to be in because everybody is going for this fast fashion, this Fashion Nova esque type quality. It's just an online clothing store. A boutique, like I remember as a kid, not as a kid, like yeah, no, as a kid, I remember as a kid when my mom went to boutiques, it was always to find those nice curated pieces that, and my mom, she was a diva in her own right. It was those pieces that you weren't going to find at your local department store. It wasn't going to be just the normal thing. Well, people, where did you get that from? That's what people would ask you when you were boutique clothing. So when my wife was talking about it, she wanted to bring back the essence of a boutique, where you buy something and you can feel confident going out that you're not going to see four, five, six, seven people in the same type of outfit. Whether it be the print, the cut, the style, whatever the case may be. So it's the essence of what a real boutique is supposed to be. So it's not large quantities. We're not. I say we're like we're part of, but yeah, we're teams. But it's like you're not gonna see. She carries limited quantities, enough to satisfy the masses, but not so much where again you're gonna be repetitious as far as what you see other people carry. And the quality was the number one thing that she wanted to focus on. Just watching her order from these different online stores and boutiques and getting the quality back. So yes, the price may have been very advantageous, but the quality was terrible. You knew you were only going to wear it for a month or maybe one outing, and then it was going to end up in the back of your closet or donated or in the trash bin. So that I don't even know like the technical terms for the stitching, the material, all of that is far and superior than what you would find at your local or your online cheap boutique. And no disrespect to anybody else, there's lanes for that. Like there's reason why it exists, but Kennedy J is not that. So I'm super super proud of her and sticking to that because it could have been. And I'm going on a tangent, but I really do believe this. It's like it's very easy when the society around you wants you to go a different direction. Like it would have been very easy to put out cheap clothing and sell it, but she stuck to her lane and realized like I only want to be successful if I'm successful this way, and that diligent mentality is something that it's a beautiful thing to watch. But anyway, description for Kennedy J is in the link below, KennedyJ.com. Again, send it in the description box below.
Thank you.
All right, so I think that was it from Life with Chan. No, I'm sorry, that's what Shay's Kitchen cook up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next question is from Sad or Saad Sock. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. But it was, how do you like living in Texas? You're looking to relocate to Houston. It's one of the cities. You said you have a beautiful home. Thank you. So, as we alluded to, we absolutely love living in Texas. If anybody's looking for a change of scenery outside of the state of Texas and they want to move, I highly, highly recommend you coming to check out Houston. Maybe not Houston, we full now, but yeah, no, feel free. Come on down. It's. I can't even put it into words. Just come check out Houston. Come check out Texas. You'll love it.
Houston is beautiful. The lifestyle, it's a different lifestyle, but you'll love it for sure.
All right, so next question was from Saul Silva. Is how do you guys feel about the electric car movement? And what's your favorite restaurant in Houston? Pros and cons of Houston living. I'm all on board with the electric car movement. I am a Tesla fan. I feel like Tesla did a lot of like what Apple does. They go into a marketplace and they change it so much they force everybody else to really invest in it and create a segment of a overall industry that is beneficial to us, the consumers. So where Tesla succeeded, now you see everybody else putting in those resources, that time and energy, because the stigmatism behind an electric car was it's not going to be fast, it's not going to be pretty to look at. It's only a car that you can say it's electric, and that was the biggest benefit. But then when Tesla came along and they succeeded with their model lineup, I feel like that was the game changer, and I feel like the next 10, 15 years for electric cars is going to be a game changer. I think now we're going to get the style on the exterior as much as the interior with the performance. Um, Tesla actually may be my next car, actually, too. Your favorite restaurant in Houston?
So
That's impossible.
Akeem has actually been. Well, the crazy part about it is we've been to like different types of restaurants
It's impossible to answer that question.
separately. So he's been to like through his coworkers and clients and different things like that. He's been to like more of the steakhouses, more of the fine dining and different things like that. And then me, brunch dates with my girls have been to more of the brunch, midday party scene places. We don't necessarily have a favorite because Houston is full of restaurants.
If you're a foodie, come to Houston. Don't go anywhere else in Texas. And the thing that I love about Houston, there's not a lot of chains. I mean, there's chain restaurants, but you're not inundated with just all chain restaurants. Like, and even if it is a chain, there's only select few. So you may find that restaurant in Houston, Chicago, New York, Miami, Los Angeles, and that's it. But to kind of give you a couple, like Steak 48, I know Houston's not the only one, but I love Steak 48. One of the top steakhouses I've ever been to.
I love Eddie V's.
Eddie V's.
I love the vibe.
Pearl and Vine.
I really liked Bisou and Abuzi. Those are really nice vibes.
And then, what did I take my dad for his birthday? Texas.
Taste of Texas.
Taste of Texas. Taste of Texas is amazing. It's the decor is a little, they have like, the animal heads on the wall. It's very Texas, but the food quality is 5-star. Like out in the Houston area, those are probably some of my favorite. Mastros is another good one.
Bloomin' Bee. If you follow us on Instagram, you'll see that we posted quite a few places that we've been. And then if you follow our stories, we're always going out, checking out the area. So
we're out. I'm outside. You're outside. I'm a little bit more outside because of work. But again, great point. Follow our Instagrams, stories, photos, pictures. We post a lot of the restaurants that we're at. But those are some of our favorites in the Houston area.
Pros and cons of living in Houston. The traffic.
Yeah, like they share memes around here, and it's like Houston is an hour away from Houston. That is a fact.
My God.
You can be in a car for an hour and still be in Houston.
I hate Houston's traffic.
But it's only if you have to travel across like suburbs. Like if you're from Houston, you understand this. If not, you can kind of look it up and understand. So like if you're going from like Katy to Pearland or Sugarland to the Midtown, or if you're traveling like that, yeah, you're going to be in a car for a while. But Houston, the way it's set up, each of its major suburbs, even outside of the city or outside of the inner loop, every city has like its own thing. So its own shopping, its own entertainment, its own malls. So you can live in a certain area and never really have to travel outside of there. So if we only like staying in Katy, the traffic isn't bad anywhere you go. You know what I'm saying? So, but if you work in, let's say, downtown Houston, you have to travel back to Katy, yeah, or travel to Sugarland, or travel to Cypress, or whatever suburb you live in. Whatever you're doing, yeah, traffic can be bad. That's probably the biggest con there is. Pros, food,
economy,
the food
housing.
scene is amazing. Economy, housing options.
It's a melting pot out here.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
a lot.
that.
It's a lot.
It's
Like,
very rare that we actually meet people who are homegrown. It's a lot of people from different states. I think we probably, I know me, I probably know like 3 or 4 people like personally that are actually from Houston. Everyone else is kind of imported.
so the next question is from Azania Toy. That's the YouTube channel. I don't know if that's their real name, but Azania Toy. Do you guys have any of their family members that live in Texas? Kind of touched on that before. Next question was, what some places that in your hometown you wish you had that they have in Texas, like rest. All right, let me tell you something. Lord, so Coney Island in Detroit is, if you're not familiar with it, I'm trying to think of another city area. So Coney Islands in Detroit are like, I would assume like your Philly cheesesteaks in Philly,
Or a pizza in Chicago.
or deep dish in Chicago. And I don't even know if deep dish in Chicago is like something that locals like, or is it just like,
But definitely Philly.
yeah, Philly. And I know people like, they don't go to Pat's and Geno's, they go to like other joints to get like the authentic now because those are commercialized. But the Coney Island is the 24-hour diner restaurant that you can get, your wingdings, your burgers, your chili cheese fries, your omelets, your whole nine, and the breakfast options, your grilled chicken pitas. I mean, the whole nine. Like, it's to the point that I am strongly, strongly considering open a Coney Island-esque restaurant here in Houston. Just your Detroit Coney dogs, your hot dog with your chili cheese and mustard. I mean,
Coney in Detroit, because it's really just really Detroit area.
man.
It like there's not anyone that I know that did not go to the club and then meet up at a Coney or
That was
IHOP
the
or
move.
like that's just what we did after clubbing. So out here it's like you wake up in the
The
morning.
Waffle House and that bull, but
But it's like we wake up in the morning and like you got a taste for
you want some breakfast.
Coney's.
Like, you don't want to go to IHOP.
Yeah, you can't get an omelet, like a really good omelet here. You can't. Well, I
Oh,
mean, I
no,
don't mean
I
it.
got to. So I'm gonna post a picture.
I was about to bring it
no,
up.
So it was this place, like it was this diner that opened up not too far from the house, and they had like the menus and the menu items, like the descriptions, the names were very reminiscent of what a Coney Island was back in Detroit, right? So I was just like, man, like I'm praying and hoping like it's gonna come through for me. So I ordered the ham and cheese omelet. Okay, I'm ready for it. So I order it, pick it up, and I'm carrying the box. I'm on my way to work. So I'm carrying the box. I'm like, it's a little light, but I didn't think too much of it because I just got the omelet with a side of grits, right? And I'm gonna find a picture and I'm gonna post it. I get to work, I open up the box, and y'all, it was a folded over piece of egg with a Kraft single slice of cheese melted on top that literally fit in the palm of my hand.
Barely melted.
Now, in contrast, I'm gonna find a picture of this too because it's important for you to see. If you go to and the omelet was $10. That's the other part that pissed me off. Now, if you go back home, or I go to Detroit and I go to a Coney, I'm paying $6.99, $7.99. That omelet is gonna be about 4 or 5 eggs, and it's gonna take up the whole plate easily. So I was extremely disappointed, pissed off, and that restaurant is out of business, by the way. So, see, God don't like ugly. So
I can say that for you too, because we were supposed to go to the restaurant together, and you had one without me.
I saved you. That's what it was. I saved you from having to deal with that. But to answer
You know,
the
God
question,
don't play about me.
the Coney Island experience, and if you ever been to Detroit, if you're from Detroit, you know what I'm talking about with the Coney Islands, and I know Tonton, he just opened up a Coney Island in Detroit, so and I heard that's doing really well. If you know what that's like, drop a comment below if you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, restaurant that I can bring back from home or put down. All right, so next question is from Plated by C. Yeah, I just started following Plated by C on Instagram too. Her food looks amazing. So shout out to you, Plated by C. And your questions are different. I give you that. Your questions are different. So the first question is, what is your parenting style? The second was, do you plan on doing any vacation vlogs? And what is the next major renovation upgrade? So parenting style. Again, this would be one of those ones that it could actually be its own video. But I feel like parenting how our parents parented us is different, or it has to be different than how
How we
we
parent
parent.
our
The
kids.
world is, just so much different now. Like I remember as a kid, I would be able to, my next door neighbor, other kids on the block, we would get on our bikes and we would ride and we would be gone for hours. And the parents would just know that, we knew how to handle ourselves, we knew what limitations, how far we could go. And then it really was a village back then, so, I may be over here 2, 3 blocks up the street, but that neighbor, Mr. or Mrs. So knew who I was. So they saw me, they called my mom, say, yeah, your boy down here, blah, blah, blah. So it really was a true village at that time frame. And I feel like now it's different. And with the advent of like, the internet and social media, the kids have the potential to be exposed to so much. So I feel like we're learning, and I mean we're as a generation, we're learning how to parent to our kids because nothing is the same from when we were kids to how our parents taught us.
Right.
Everything from you, if you think about the whole concept of, like my parents never graduated from college. My parents literally graduated from high school, went right into the workforce, worked 30, 40 years, provided an amazing household, amazing living. But they wanted me to take a step up, and it was like go to school, get an education. But there's no baseline for that. There's no well, get an education in what field. So I feel like now things are changing, even from the discipline. So also like the parenting style, as far as like discipline. I was spanked, I was whooped, and things of that nature. And not to say we don't do that with our children, but you do think about things a little bit more. And I find myself um, talking to the kids a little bit more to try to give them understanding um, than I probably did with my older kids. It's changing. So I feel like our parenting style is fluid. We're literally adapting to the world that we live in because it's changing faster now. The world is so. My oldest is a 16-year-old. My youngest is a 5-year-old. So the way the world has changed from my oldest when he was born to my daughter is completely different. So our parenting style is it's fluid, but we
We're
believe
still old school though.
yeah we're
We
still
still
definitely
carry a
old
lot of
school.
old school. You know, we're not their friends for sure. But at the same time, we do communicate with them differently than how we were communicated to as kids. Um, we I don't want to say our parents didn't consider our feelings. Uh,
But it was more so do as I say and with no questions, with no reason and no whys. And I feel like
we do take our time to explain to them, we discipline them, but we do take our time to explain why they're being disciplined and make sure that they understand, the seriousness or
the why behind everything.
yeah.
And I feel like that's important. So um, we're still learning. I don't think you'll ever be a perfect parent or can be a perfect parent because every child is different, every situation is different. The world we're teaching them and raising them in is different. So we're always learning and adapting our style to meet our kids' best needs and interests. That's a good question though. Do you plan to do any vacation vlogs? Absolutely. We plan on doing a lot of vlogs. So not just getting a home together, but we just posted like a movie night video
We
showing
have a
what we do or what we did when it was raining here in Houston a lot, so we decided to have a in-home movie night. Um,
we have a vlog for San Antonio coming up. Just a little quick overnight trip that we took just to get the kids out of the house. We plan on doing something else possibly before the summer's out. That really just depends on the weather because we just don't want to go anywhere and then it's raining the entire time. But then like out of state vacations, we'll definitely start to take the kids on as the world starts to open up and become a little bit more safer. And then it's been a while since Akeem and I have traveled, so we definitely want to get back into just making sure we have our alone time as well.
all right, and so last question by Played It by Caesar. What's the next major renovation and upgrade? Renovation, upgrade. I would say probably completing
I want to say the living room.
completing the living room space and the theater space. Um, because there's a lot that we had that was like pre-wired and things like TV on the patio, surround sound that we touched on, And if you haven't watched our home tour video, I'll put it in the description and link it here. But I would say completing the living room, the couch that you see that us sitting on, we ordered in March. It just arrived yesterday. I'm not sure when you'll be watching this video, but at the time of recording, it arrived yesterday. So yeah, it's fixing and completing the living room space and probably the theater. I would say, at least that's your priorities too.
Well, living room is mine. Theater is Akeem's.
Theater's mine. So those two. Um, so yeah, thanks for playing by. C. Shout out to you. Let's see. The next question is from
Demi Girl 74.
Demi. Yeah, I think that's Demi Girl. Is how long have you guys been in the Houston area? We kind of touched on it before. 4 years at this point.
I don't think we said 4 years, but yeah, we've been out
We
here.
said it in almost like every vlog, every video so far,
Really?
but not in this video. So we've been in Houston for 4 years.
4 years this past May.
As of May, yep. What would be the number one thing you would tell someone who's about to build their first home?
Go watch our other 2 videos.
Go watch
Seriously.
our video. But other than there's going to be mistakes. There's going to be mistakes throughout your construction process. There's going to be things that you notice, like, oh my God, they put the wrong whatever in the wrong space. That stuff can easily be fixed. And sometimes the trades, they just kind of work out of repetition and not necessarily look at certain things. The stuff can be changed. So just be on it, walk your home, make sure that you're watching it. But if you see something, don't fly off the handle. Like, it can be fixed. Now, if they tell you something that you specified was done wrong and it can't be fixed, choose your handle to fly off of. Like, go for it. But until then, just be patient. Your home is a construction site until it's not. I tell every one of my clients this, and I've noticed this, like when you had your beauty video, this is the analogy I use, and hopefully it lands and hits home. But when you used to watch your beauty videos and people do their makeup, it will look crazy in the beginning. They will have like liquid all over their face. They will have blush on certain places, and our eyebrows will be half drawn on, and that, you know, back then where they were fading right here, it would just look crazy. But by the time they finished it, it was like, it looks amazing. That's what your house building process is like. Is you walk in, you're gonna see it's, you know, they were drinking or they were eating, and there's a box of tacos over here that was left there, and don't trip, because every house that you've ever seen that's completed, it looked like that, you know, throughout the construction process. It's a work site. It's your home, but it's not a house yet. Let them finish, watch it, and just be patient. And that's my number one tip, probably.
And then I would also add to that, visit as much as possible. We were out here almost daily. We were out here a few times a day. But in addition to that, once you're coming out here often, you are able to see different things. And sometimes they don't catch it. That doesn't mean that they won't catch it, but sometimes they don't catch it up front. So just be in communication with your project manager or your construction manager also on things that you notice. Again, you could just have a conversation with them. You don't necessarily have to be upset, but it's okay with pointing things out as well.
Mistakes are gonna happen. Every house. No house is perfect. So.
Because I was calling him every day.
So next question was, what's the best thing about building a home? What's the worst thing about building a home? The best thing, in my opinion, is being able to, you know, build a home from your vision. You know, from picking a plan to, you know, picking every nook and cranny, from, you know, how they're gonna lay the floor tile and the colors. And even if you don't, you know, you're building a home where you don't get those opportunities, where you get to pick, you know, certain design centers, because there are builders like that. It's the fact of walking into that door for the first time after you close and knowing that no one has ever lived there. So the very first experience in that home are going to be yours for your family to share. I think, you know, that's the biggest benefit. The biggest,
The hardest part?
yeah, the worst thing about building a home,
The time frame?
not even a time frame.
And you
but
can't just move right in.
it's, you get anxious, right? You get extremely anxious. You watch it and you see the form boards, you know, right for the foundation. You're like, okay, and then they start to frame the home, and then you see every little aspect come together, and it's like, you know, it takes months to build, but it's just that anticipation of getting those keys and getting that clear to close, to know that there's no other obstacles in your way, by far that is the worst. But when you get that CTC, that clear to close, and your home is complete, and you set your day to close, that is one of the most beautiful days, that you'll ever experience. All right, so next question is from Bree, Bree T. I'm sorry, from Bree T. Is this your forever home no matter what, or are you guys open to building again in the future, and any more babies in the future? Expansion projects with this home.
So
So
first of all, no more babies. The shop is closed. We're done.
my jersey in the rafters.
We have
I'm
5.
I'm hanging up in the rafters. I'm done.
And as much as our littlest ask us for a little sister, it's not happening. It's not happening.
We're not ruling out adoption. I don't think we are. Are we?
Considering circumstances, I'm open to it, but
That door is not closed. But as far as physically having kids, it's a wrap.
I'm not necessarily like running to get number 6 though. But considering like if it's a situation where, it's circumstantial, maybe. So no more kids. I'm done. For sure, for sure.
I better be done. Is this your forever home no matter what? So
Well, first let me say I thought it was. I told Akeem, this is it. I'm not moving anymore. This is it. We're here for the rest of our lives. Deal with it. But
So this is the way I look at it. If this ultimately ends up being our forever home,
that's great.
I'm not. This is a great forever home until we downsize. Kids move out, whatever the case may be. But I do think that in the future, I would say probably within the next 5 to 7 years,
I'd say 5
maybe,
to 7.
we looked at building and maybe doing a complete custom home where we choose everything, like from the architects, the build, like it's 100% our design.
I'm not gonna lie. I love this house, but
House is perfect for us. It's perfect.
yeah, I mean, I love everything about this house, and I really did say that I was done. Like this was it for us, But in my most humblest way to say this, I did say we can go bigger. I'd like to go bigger. So God willing, if it's in the plans and if God says go bigger, we both decided that we would definitely go bigger.
So, we're both advocates of getting a picture of what your faith looks like. And I first heard this from actually an old coworker of mine. I remember watching him one of his videos, and he was out in California looking at homes that he couldn't afford at the moment. But he was like, it's important to get a picture of what your faith looks like. So to know, okay, this is where I'm at, and this is what I want. So once you can see the end or see that goal, it's easier to work towards it. And I see people, there's a community close by that we both love. It's probably our favorite community. And, we tour it often. We've toured it. And, there's homes on the water, these beautiful lakefront homes with these, what are the pools called? Where the infinity pools with boat docks that back up to a lake. Just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful homes. And it's like, I know they have lots, not the house, but the lot itself is between $400,000 to $800,000. And I'm not saying we necessarily desire one of those, but I'm not opposed to not working towards that goal. But it's just the ability. So I guess to answer the question, it can be our forever home, but we're not saying we won't upgrade later. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Let's see. Next question is any future expansion projects? Expansion, not necessarily. We are the goal, Lord willing, is to add a pool in the backyard.
And then we have tons of just things that we want to do around the house that we also talked about in another video. But yeah, it's a lot of things we plan on doing to the house. So the projects will be coming soon.
All right. And if you're liking this video so far, while I put up the next question, again, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. I know we don't have a ton of videos up right now, but I promise you the content is going to keep going. Hit the like button. It really, really does help with the YouTube algorithm. And then subscribe also. So the next question was from Aunt Tiffany. Oh, I'm Tiffany with an I, or is that I'm Tiffany with an L? With an L would
With an
make sense.
eye.
So I'm Tiffany with an I. Do you believe in gender roles? You trying to start stuff, Tiffany? Like, do you believe in gender roles? How did you find your passion? Best marriage advice you have learned, been told, or any tips on getting your kids ready for education while in kindergarten? You really went with it.
So
So
I'll take the kindergarten one.
no, you want to take the gender
Yeah,
roles?
and then I want to work my way up though. So I, to be honest with you, I actually started working with all of our kids prior to them going to school. Um, in the world of technology, so our oldest together was born in 2009. So by 2011, I had handed him my iPod. This was before YouTube Kids and different things like that. And I had found him a ton of educational apps. And that's pretty much been our thing, to be honest with you. We find them educational apps, educational websites, and we literally just work with them daily. So by the time our kids have started school, or even at 3 and 4 years old, our kids are reading, they're writing their names, they're spelling. So that is something that I actually pat both of us on the back for, as just really working with all five of the kids, you know, to get them up and above their grade levels. And we've had pretty good feedback with all of the teachers. You know, a few of the kids are in the gifted and talented program out here in Texas. And that just allows them to,
A few of them, all of them.
well, we have
All
some
of the
that
ones that are
aren't in
grade
school
school.
yet, but
That's all. I'm just saying, but yeah.
because Zuri's not in school yet. But that the gifted and talented program out here allows them to not. The best way to describe it is like it just gives them an opportunity to work on other things since they already know the material, and it allows them to be creative. And the kids love it; they absolutely love it. But we worked with them prior to school, so ABCs, apps. My favorite things for the little ones is abcmouse.com, and then my favorite thing for the older ones is Khan Academy.
Reading to them helps too. So a lot of the teachers,
We read daily.
yeah, a lot of the teachers will say and tell you that the level of reading comprehension or reading skill that a child has is exponentially higher with a parent that reads to their child versus the ones that don't. I remember my dad reading to me as a kid. Like I remember him putting me on his lap, reading me Bernstein Bears books. But reading to your children.
Your age.
Oh, Bernstein Bears was the stuff.
I know. I had a ball.
But yeah, like reading to your kids because I think reading builds confidence, right? So reading is one of, in my opinion, I haven't heard this, but I think like everybody remembers in school, like if you were a good reader, when they would give you the passage to read, and the teacher would like have everybody read a couple sentences, and you knew when it was your turn, you was gonna murder those couple lines, especially if you had a big word and you knew what it was. That instills confidence because that's literally like one of the first things that kids learn how to do is read. So when they have the confidence in that space, it gives them the confidence in the math and the other, subject matter. So I would say that my biggest tip
That
is
is
just read to
the
your
biggest
kids.
thing. The biggest thing actually is reading to them.
Do you believe in gender roles?
Yes and no.
To a degree. So I do believe that innately in just human nature, there are things that men prefer to do or should be required to do, and that women should not. That does not mean that they're not capable of doing it. I'm not saying that at all, but I just do believe that I don't want no smoke. You already know how it is. But I do feel like women are better at nurturing. Men are more equipped to be providers
And
from a mental
protectors.
standpoint. Not capabilities. Women can do everything that a man can do. I fully believe that. But I'm just saying mentally, like the provider aspect of it. But there's just things I feel like in the natural order of things that should be the way they are. But at the same time, a lot of that goes into like planning. Like there's a reason that we have parents that are working or couples that are splitting bills. And it's not just off principle. It's like, because I remember as a kid, I'm not gonna say what type of people, but you always wonder like why such and such having a baby at 40 years old. Those type of people. I'm not gonna say you know what I'm
I
talking
know
about.
what you
Yeah,
mean.
like it's
And
like
other people were having kids younger, so yeah.
but it's like they literally planned out their families. So it's like a man will wait till he's established or wait till he's able to provide and then go get the woman and then have the babies. And a lot of times it took them to be a little bit older to be able to do that. And then certain communities, certain people, they will have children a lot younger. So now you're forced into survival mode where I can take care of myself on, if you're younger, you're making 30, 35,000, whatever dollar amount it is, I can survive off myself. But now, the minute you have a baby with another person, now you become a family, and now you're supporting three people on that income, and that income probably isn't sustainable. So then you go into survival mode. So my income plus your income, now we can do it. So it's not necessarily about, oh, it has to be 50-50, but my overall thought process is if you and your better half, your mate, get together and you guys do whatever is best for you, that is the best thing that you can do. Don't let society, don't let memes, don't let the shade room, don't let any of these other places, celebrities, tell you that it has to be a certain way. Even if, like, am I comfortable in saying this part, this next
I don't
part?
know what you're about to say.
So, like, we combined our incomes for the majority of our relationship, especially prior to moving out here, because we had two, three, four kids, and we had to put it together in order to maintain and survive.
We wanted to put it together
And we
too.
wanted to. And now we're in a position where my wife doesn't have to work if she doesn't want to. She doesn't have to operate her business. I can fully provide for my entire family. And that has always been my goal. That's just me personally. Um, Anything that my wife does or contributes to, that's extra. But I told her in 2010, when we were at the revival, was that 2010?
I don't know.
It was 2009 because this is right when Aiden was born. It was 2009. I was like, my goal was to always be the provider. It's not about a control thing. I just feel like my natural order as a provider is to do just that, provide. And we used to always joke. It's like my job is to put a roof over your head. It doesn't have to be a 4,100 square foot roof. It could be a 2,200 square foot roof. But as long as I'm providing that, I'm technically fulfilling my obligation. Um, but gender roles, to a degree.
I mean, we again, I don't, we do what works for us. So like Akeem cooks. I cook, but Akeem does the majority of the cooking.
And I enjoy it.
And yeah, and I clean.
The passion question. I didn't even mention cooking.
Yeah, you a hobby.
Yeah, like I love cooking, as you guys will soon see. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, so that's his thing. Like there's oftentimes when I'm like, well, I'm gonna cook, chicken, and he's like, oh, I got a taste for lamb chops. I'm gonna cook, because he wants to use his grill or his Traeger, or anything like that. So that's one thing that it's like, oh, a woman should always be cooking. I don't always cook. 90% of the cooking is him. I maintain the rest of the house. I've taken trash out. I don't want to. But if he forgets or he leaves the house and the trash cans are still here.
If she take it out, I'm going to for sure hear about it.
Because I was thinking about the one that had posted that status. But anyway, but I've taken, the trash out. And there was times when I was working and Akeem was home with the kids and he was working and, I've been, blessed to be home with the kids. So yeah, we really just do what works for us.
And that's my biggest do what works for you, not about societal rules, but I do feel like there's things that innately, a man and a woman should do. How did you find your passion? My passion found me. Like cooking found me.
Yeah, let me say this. Okay. Because when I first met Akeem said,
"What are you about to do all that?"
I didn't cook, he didn't cook, okay? And he said, we're not going to cook, we're going to be at the restaurants. And I was like, yes, because I don't cook anyway. And then I got to his house and he had jarred cheese.
And some queso,
chicken
wings,
and I want to say like spaghetti or something like that, and some eggs. Like there was like 3 or 4 things in his refrigerator, like true bachelor pad. And then all of a sudden he picked up a cookbook and became Chef Akeem and just took off.
You have to understand me to understand that concept. So I am very I don't know how to describe it, but if I can be taught something or if I see the science behind it, I am extremely intrigued and I usually go all in into it. So my mother-in-law, she was in culinary school. Shout out to you, Trees. But
Always watching.
yeah, always. But she had brought home a culinary book, and this culinary book was literally about this thick, and it wasn't just recipes. It was, how to
The
set up a
science behind
restaurant
it.
station, the concept behind food prep and how to do it. So it wasn't just what to do; it was the whys behind it, and then that just opened up my mind to a different world of possibilities. And then I started to watch the Food Network back when they actually had cooking shows and not all these competition shows,
He bought all the
all the
magazines.
magazines. So like I used to watch like Alton Brown and his show, and it was really like the science behind food. And once I, kind of went into like the flavor profiles and cooking different things, and my mom, she's typical Southern, learned how to cook.
Soul
So I
food.
went, yeah, soul food, and that's probably the one dish I rarely make. Not
Yeah.
like I rarely make soul food.
Like the kids rarely like
I
so
make mac and cheese and stuff like that, but I don't do like smothered pork chops. I don't do greens really. I'm really a French Italian or traditional American, I guess you would say, type
barbecue.
cuisine.
Like
Barbecue stuff like that. But yeah, I
I grew
rarely
up
cook
making
soul.
like traditional food. Like my mom taught me how to cook, fried chicken, and you had your fried chicken and your green beans and your corn, or you had your spaghetti meals. And so those were meals that we grew up on. And when I tell you our kids don't eat like that, and it's not, I mean, we will eat like that from time to time, but he's just always in there just cooking up something, making something. Uh, he can go in there and just come up with anything out of scratch. But it just reminds me of the very, very first time before you got into cooking. And
I'm gonna edit it out.
Sharon knows
I'm a,
about the pot roast
so let me
with the cinnamon.
explain. So the other question from you, Tiffany, was best marriage advice you have learned or been told. Again, this question is somewhat tough to answer because it can literally be its own video. But my biggest piece of advice, and I think I shared this with you recently, in the last couple of years, a year or two, is as you even when as you're in the dating stage, when you're with someone, that person is forever growing and evolving. They're exposed to different people. They're exposed to different concepts. They grow mentally. So the person that you're with is forever changing. So you have to relearn that person and understand that what made them tick or how they prefer to be communicated with or things that they appreciated. Like, cause I can tell you right now, the things that I appreciated from my woman at 25 is completely different than when I was 35. So I think oftentimes we don't realize that the person that's sitting in front of us or laying next to us on a daily basis is changing, and we tend to treat them and respond to them the same way forever. And then when they change and we don't realize it, it usually causes conflict. But I'll say in my opinion, I think you have to relearn your partner like every probably about 2 to 3 years.
Communication.
And communication is, and that's something that we're still working on. Communication. We had a
Consideration.
Yeah, that too. We just had a conversation recently. We're driving back from San Antonio that was very eye opening for me because it was I communicated one way, and then she communicated a different way. Well, she responded to my communication a certain way, and in my mind, I'm sorry, I hit the mic there, but in my mind, I took it as a acceptance, and in her mind, she took it as if that's what you want to do, I'm not gonna stop you, and and it may have bothered her, but in my mind, I took it as an acceptance. So I would say just understanding the whys, the hows, and the communication concepts for how you speak to each other.
The best way to explain that, because it sounds kind of confusing, is he would tell me he's getting ready to do something, and I wouldn't like, I wouldn't say no, so to speak. I would
Yeah,
just be
we
like,
just give it.
okay.
So like one of my friends, he would call me like, "Hey," just random example. But he was like, "Hey, about to light some cigars, get some bourbon or whatever. Come over to the patio, kick it." Okay, cool. So I may call her and say, "Hey, such and such, I'm about to go over to such and such house. You know, kick it over there for a couple hours.
And I would be like at home all day with the kids. And so like he would just call me like, hey, I'm getting ready to go do this. And I never want to be like, no, you can't go. So I'd be like, okay, like what do I look like telling you no, you can't go? And but his mind was like, well, I asked you and you didn't give me any pushback. And I'm like, you
Not even
didn't.
that I asked, but I told you so. If so, this was a scenario. So let's say in that situation, I was gonna go, but she really was like, "Hey, I've been missing you today," or "Hey, the kids have been driving me crazy today. I just want to kick it with you today. Like I want to lay up, cuddle up, watch a movie." In my mind, I wanted her to say that in response, like, "Hey, I'm about to go over here." Well, no, I was hoping that we could stay home and kick it today, if that's okay. So then my response to that would be, "Okay, cool. Let me call. Tell them like, hey, I can't tonight." So she would just say, "Yeah, that's fine," or something along those lines. She wouldn't give pushback. But the whole time I don't know if resentment is maybe too strong of a word.
No, but I think when I said ask, you think I'm like permission, but that's not what I meant.
No, I know you don't mean permission because we never operated like that.
Right. So what it would be is he would say, hey, I'm just getting off work. I'm going to shoot to my friend's house, gonna have a couple cigars. I'll be home later. I would say, okay. But I would be at home all day. So it was like, I didn't want to give him any pushback or anything like that because he had a long day at work. But at the same time, I felt like, the communication on my end would have been, if he had said, hey, I'm just getting off work. Do you need me to come home or anything? If not, then I'm gonna go to, my friend's house. And so in his mind, he's thinking, this is what I'm asking you. Hey, I'm on my way over here, and if she has any pushback, she'll tell me.
Right.
And my thought process is, he's not necessarily asking like, hey, do you need me to come home or anything like that? He's just telling me what he's getting ready to do. And so I would be like, sure, go ahead, or okay, I'll see you later. But I wanted him to say, hey, do you need anything? Do you need me to come home? Is everything all right? And then we would kind of go from there. But I never wanted to be like, no, you can't come home. So that was kind of where the miscommunication came in at, because he thought he was asking me, being considerate by giving me the heads up. And it was like that missing link of, hey, do you need me to come
I
home?
was expecting if I said I was gonna do that and you wanted a different outcome, or if you wanted me to do something different, then you would voice that. And when it didn't happen, I always took that as like a sign of endorsement. Like, okay, cool, that's okay for you to do. And the whole time you feel a way about it.
Yeah, so
And
it's
it
like
builds up over time. So
we never had that relationship where it was like, can I go out with my friends? Can I do this? Can I do that? So I never wanted him to ask me. I don't feel like I should have to ask him, but it was just like giving each other a heads up in that communication. So it was like it just kind of got lost in the language was like our biggest thing. And so had we communicated it a little bit more beyond what we were saying to each other, then we could have understood each other a little bit better. We could have communicated a little bit better, and we just didn't. So communication for one is definitely, just constantly having a conversation, not holding back. If you feel some type of way, voice it, say it, and allow them the opportunity to react, whether it be a good or bad, just allow them to react. And then you can kind of go from there instead of just assuming it's going to be a certain type of way.
yeah. So I mean that's it. I mean everybody says it, but communication truly is like key. Um, so I think that was it from Tiffany with an I. Debbie Cakes wants to know Whataburger or In-N-Out.
If I had to choose between
I
the
have
two,
I have really strong emotions about this. In-N-Out Burger is trash.
they're gonna,
It's
they gonna light you up
trash.
in the
I don't
comments.
care. Light
He
me
said
up.
it.
Whataburger is. I'm not even like a super Whataburger fan, but I'll eat Whataburger 10 times out of 10 before I touch an In-N-Out. Like I'd rather go pick up the grass clippings and eat that before I touch In-N-Out again. Like In-N-Out is
That's so dramatic.
pure trash. Like I had it once in Vegas, and by the time we went downstairs, we watched a little show. Grabbed it, went to the room. It was a little cold, so I was like, oh, whatever. And then they just opened up one not too far from where we live, and since they opened, the line was wrapped around the block. Since it's open, it's still like that. It's been damn
It's
near
almost
a
like
year.
a Chick-fil-A line, yeah.
Yeah, like Chick-fil-A line, but slower service, right? And we had it again, and it is trash. Like it is Like I don't even understand how people. Maybe it's a. I don't, and then people are, oh, well, you got to get on the West Coast. If I got to go to a whole different state to get the right kind, like it's trash. Like it's no. Like no. So the answer to that question is Whataburger 10 times out of 10.
But if we had to do, what is it, Waterburger,
I don't know how they want to pronounce
or
it.
Chick-fil-A hands down.
Yeah, it depends on what you
Because we
get. But
rarely even
if
go to
it's anything
Waterburger.
chicken, Chick-fil-A. But that patty melt from Whataburger is slaps.
I think you're stealing wrong still. Waterburger.
That's like when you say it's pronounced it's spelled what's a burger.
But
But
they
when you
say it's
say
Waterburger.
Whataburger, they're like, nah, it's Waterburger. Like it's water. Like I don't know. Texas got their own little slang, twang, and all that. But yeah, Whataburger, Whataburger, whatever burger, just as long as it's not an In-N-Out burger. That's all I care about. I hate In-N-Out. So this question, a lot of people asked. Not a specific person because it was a lot of people, but so how much did the house cost? All right. So for a lot of reasons, I can't say the exact dollar amount, but the home was between, with all the upgrades and lot premiums, between $500,000 and $600,000. And the builder that we built with is Perry Homes. If you're in Texas, you know Perry Homes. They only build in Texas. Um, but yeah, a semi-custom luxury builder. I will put them on the same lines that I'm not. You know, I'm not even gonna do that because I'm gonna go like, no, it's not like that. Just if you're familiar with Perry Homes, then you know. But yeah, that's the top two questions we get as far as the house, as far as what builder, and then how much the home cost. I think that's it. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's so. That's all your questions. I hope that you guys got to get a little bit more comfortable or more familiar with us as individuals, as well as a couple. We're in this YouTube thing for the long haul. So if you come this far and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Again, hit that like button. It is late right now. It's probably what, 1 in the morning.
Yeah, it was almost 2.
Yeah, it's almost 2 in the morning. We have to export this, get it edited to put it out hopefully this week for you guys. So until the next time, if you made it, what should we have them put in the comments if they made it this far?
Oh man, that's a good question. Wind down.
No, let's say.
Why do you always ask when you know you have something else?
I don't have anything, but
you
it
always
don't make
do that.
sense.
Okay, we did say get your wine.
2 a.m.
That's kind of lame.
I like Lane.
I know.
Don't try me in front of all these people.
2 a.m. is fine.
So if you made it this
Or
far,
up late or something.
So if you made it this far in the video and you really rock with us like that, put 2 a.m. in the comments. I know it's bedtime now. Put 2 a.m. in the comments. And we plan on doing something very special. It's coming up soon for our whenever we hit that 5,000 subscriber mark, which should be in a few short weeks here.
Especially if we keep going with the same momentum, because we are at 3,500.
If we didn't say that already, yeah,
we didn't.
Almost 36.
So shout out to you all who subscribe. Thank you so much. Like, it's been amazing. Like, we're floored every day we get the subscriber count, and every day we see the comments. So we definitely appreciate it.
And we've been in the comments. I don't think it's anybody that we haven't responded to. Like, not a single soul. And there's, at this point, over 1,000 comments across all the videos. So, again, I want to say thank you. This is Akeem and Missy. We're signing out. It is time to go to bed. Take these clothes off. I am hot. These lights are bright. So, until next time, peace.